This is Goku-san, DBZ, and welcome back for a new top 10 list. This time, a new top 10 overpriced list on video games. Took a while, looked into many different consoles, though there will be a few specific consoles with that said. First couple of honorable mentions, I guess, technically, or dishonorable, depends how you look at this, since this is an overpriced list. First up, of honorable mentions, we have. This is strictly the US version, by the way, of the game. Japanese version is relatively more reasonable. The first honorable mention is Spawn in the Demon's Hand. Sorry, in the Demon's Hand. It's sort of like it plays kind of like, I guess you could say, Power Stone, more or less, the way you moved around the arena, shooting and everything. That's what it reminded me, aspect wise, is sort of like, reminds me gameplay wise of Power Stone or Thrill Kill, if you know anything about Thrill Kill. If not, check out Maximilian Dude's fighting history of Thrill Kill. It's really good and really funny. With that said, on average, for reasonable condition, like I would say good quality condition slash mint condition and up, that Spawn game is going to set you back about $90 and up. So it's definitely probably the most expensive Spawn game, at least that I know of. Looking at the main Spawn games that were released, it's by far the most expensive. And that's just an honorable mention. The other honorable mention is actually a game. It's a triple pack, believe it or not, for the Nintendo Wii. On average, reasonable condition, the game goes anywhere from like $70 to $100 and up. The game it's as I said, triple pack. It's Metroid Prime Trilogy pack. It has like all three first-person shooter Metroid Prime games. So it's Metroid Prime 1 from the GameCube, the sequel also on GameCube, and then of course Other M, which not so well liked, but it's a triple pack and exclusive to the Nintendo Wii. It's easily one of the most expensive Wii games that I know of. Now coming at number 10, this game, this is strictly the US version, and that is strictly released, I think it was a console exclusive, yeah, on the Sega Genesis, and this is the US price range. It's called Beyond Oasis. It's definitely an interesting looking game. Until recently, looking into prices and stuff, I actually did not know anything about this game, Beyond Oasis, but I'm kind of curious to actually learn more about it. It is an RPG-S type game. Coming in at number 9, US version, Japanese version, far cheaper. Uh, Released on the Sega Saturn, and that is Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, on average, American version goes for $100 and up, easily. If you want mint condition, you're looking between $100 to $150. And keep in mind, that's nowhere even near the price range of Saga. But it's by far the second most expensive out of the Panzer Dragoon games. Next up is an interesting one. Since I decided to look into many other consoles, not just a few. Obvious though, Saturn mentioned the Wii, Sega Genesis, and the Spawn game on the honorable mentions was for the Dreamcast. Next at number 8 is for the Panasonic 3DO. Interestingly, it's considered the best console port of the game, and yeah, this is American. I think it was only released in the US, if I'm not mistaken. At number 8 is Wolfenstein 3D. This is considered to be by far the best, the quintessential, the definitive console port of Wolfenstein 3D, which is a true classic in my opinion. Uh, on average, if you're buying it for the 3DO American version, on average, decent condition, you're looking at $130 and up, easily. It's easily one of the probably top 5 most expensive games for the 3DO. Next up, we have at number 7 for the Sega Saturn, and this is the US version, because the Japanese version, I think on average, is about a fifth of the price. Coming at number 7 is Marvel Superheroes. Of course, Capcom classic fine game on the Sega Saturn. On average, American version, if you want it in at least good condition, you're looking at $150 and up. That's why so many people import the Japanese version of the game, because the Japanese version you can easily get for about $25 to $30 versus $150 and up. That's kind of a big price difference, needless to say. Coming at number 6 for the PlayStation 1 US version. Well, not PlayStation 1, but sorry, PlayStation 2. My bad, I wrote it down wrong, but then it hit me, wait, the game's PS2. Now, this is in good condition. This is also including the DVD special film or episode miniseries that came with it. That you have to have the full pack and stuff to be this price range. At number 6 is Dot Hack Part 4. Even though by many people is considered by far the weakest out of the 4-part Dot Hack game for the PS2, it's by far the most expensive and the rarest. On average, it goes for $170 and up. Yeah, while the other 3 parts of the Dot Hack game on average doesn't go for, I think, more than maybe on average $50 at max for any of the other 3 parts. But on average price range of the others run anywhere from like about $25 to $50 each, while that one runs for $170 and up. That's kind of crazy. But then again, it was a much lower amount of English dub copies printed, so that is why the price is so much higher. No surprise. And of course, it's an RPG. A lot of RPGs tend to be the most expensive games. I've noticed this doing these lists. Coming in at number 5 is a survival horror game. It's arguably probably one of the most expensive survival horror games. Also for the PlayStation 2. This is the American version again. Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the PlayStation 2. To put it in comparison, the Wii version on average goes for like $30. Well, I'd say on average 25, like 35 range, pretty affordable. The PSP version goes for about 70, but if you wanted on the US version, in mid condition, you're looking at $200 and up for the PS2 version of Shattered Memories. That blows my mind to think that the PS2 port of the game on average is about 8 times more expensive than the Wii version of the game, and on average 2 to 3 times the price of the PSP version. That's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, I'm a big fan of Silent Hill, but I'm not going to pay that price for Shattered Memories. That's why I picked up the Wii version of Shattered Memories, because it was far cheaper. Next up, coming in at number 4 is the Japanese, because it was only released in Japan, this game. And, once again, the Sega Saturn. This was, it got a very limited release on the Saturn until looking into stuff recently. I didn't even realize this game got a Saturn release, which explains why it's so expensive, because of how rare it is. It is Street Fighter Zero 03, aka in America it's Street Fighter Alpha 3, but Street Fighter Zero 03 in Japan, and since this is a Japanese version. On average, in Japan, this is considered to be the most expensive Street Fighter game in the franchise. On average, the game goes for, in mint condition, $230 and up. That's crazy. I'm an uber Street Fighter fan. I love Street Fighter, but that's kind of pushing it on Street Fighter. No offense, even though, in my opinion, Alpha 3 is easily one of the best games in the franchise. I still think Alpha 2 is the best, but whatever. But yeah, kind of crazy you think it's that expensive. Coming in number 3 is another survival horror game. Well, not really, I guess, survival horror-esque. And also, we're going back to PlayStation 2 again. And this was the American version release. It was a pretty limited run amount of releases. It is considered to be the most expensive PS2 American game, to my knowledge. It is called Roll of the Rose. If you're wondering how much it goes for $300 and up. That's like the starting price on average for Roll of Rose. It's kind of crazy. It's a very pricey game. And this is a game I've actually known about for a while because I've seen it at many different retro game events and stuff I've attended. I've noticed that game is always super expensive. I didn't know it was a survival horror game until I started looking into games and stuff for this list. And that's when I found out it was actually a horror game. But it actually has me intrigued, but unless I can luck out and finding it for a good price somewhere, yeah, I'm not paying that. Coming in at number 2 is a game based on one of my all-time favorite animes. And fun thing is, I didn't even know the anime had a video game adaptation. And in fact, the game predates the anime, funny enough. So it's interesting. And this game was released only in Japan, and it was released on the original PlayStation, PS1, or PSX. It's called Serial Experiments Lane. Yeah, Serial Experiments Lane actually has a video game exclusive to Japanese PS1, and it's pricey to say the least. The anime is incredible. I think it's by far one of the most profound, most intelligent, and intellectual conversations and fascinating subject matter that I frankly really highly recommend you check it out. I believe you can find it sometimes on YouTube or Hulu and stuff, and Funimation official streaming service, but it's relatively cheap actually on Blu-ray, believe it or not. But if you want this game for your collection because you're an Uber fan, on average, the game is going to cost you between $350 and $400 for the Serial Experiments Lane video game for PS1. Yeah, that's a bit pricey, to say the least. Coming at number 1, I don't want to incorrectly pronounce the second part of the name of the game, so I'm just going to spell it out. So, whatever. I don't like to insult or mispronunciate names. This is the American version, and on Sega Genesis. Believe it or not, Sega Genesis game actually came at number 1 because of its super limited print. It only got 5,000 English copies made of the game, so yeah, it's very rare. And I think only about 1,000 copies actually sold. It's called Crusader of CNTY. I just want to make sure I don't insult, but if you're curious about this game, yeah, look it up on YouTube and you find gameplay. It's basically a Zelda clone, as most people have put it. It very much plays very similar to Zelda. There's actually mechanics in it that kind of remind me a bit of Pokemon, except this predates Pokemon, actually. So that's fascinating, actually. Now, you can get replicates or whatever, really good quality reproductions of the game, On average, those will set you back about $70, which is actually, it is pretty pricey for a good quality reproduction, but it's still far cheaper than the original authentic. Yeah, as I said, I'd say on average it's about, yeah, $60 to $70 range for a reproduction. If you want authentic, you're looking at just the cartridge by itself, $500 and up. You want in box, $700 and up. And just to let you know, if you want a factory seal copy, good luck finding one. But if you do, on average, you're looking at $1,500 and up for a factory seal copy of this game. It's insane. It's like one of the most expensive RPGs that I know of. I mean, this game is at the same level as Panzer Dragoon Saga in price. That's crazy, I think, that a Zelda clone on the Sega Genesis would actually be probably the most expensive Genesis game, at least in America, and easily one of the most expensive RPGs ever. But with that said, this is top 10 overpriced games 2. I'll see y'all next time, and give me some info on any games you know of that are very overpriced for putting together maybe sometime in the future again on a third list. Though it takes months and months to work on these lists because I have to really look into prices on multiple sources and stuff. So yeah, that's why it takes a while to do one of these lists. But anyways, I'll see everyone next time. Stay in YouTube time, stay in YouTube channel, and stay safe out there in YouTube land.